Uber has today begun to fight back against a landmark court ruling that found a group of drivers were entitled to holiday pay and sick pay from Uber because the company had incorrectly classified them as self-employed rather than as contracted workers. Critics of Uber have argued that, because drivers can be logged off for refusing trips, cannot set their own prices, and are subject to star ratings, they are not truly self-employed. In the original ruling, the judge reasoned Uber drivers were workers because of the degree of obligation placed on them by the company. But in a further takedown, Uber's lawyer, QC Dinah Rose, today argued the tribunal had made fatal flaws in finding that the group of drivers had been wrongly classified. She argued that the judge had employed circular logic and had failed to apply proper legal analysis and understand the way the minicab market works or its regulatory obligations. Rose, from Blackstone Chambers, argued that Uber was like any other minicab company in London except, she argued, that it has tech and scale and that the degree of control exercised by Uber is far less than other cab firms. She said Uber was an agent and essentially a tech platform that connects drivers with customers rather than an employer. At the center of her argument was an attempt to dismantle the argument that Uber drivers are under any obligation to work. This, she argued, was an essential part in proving worker status. She said drivers could turn off the app when they liked and could cancel trips. The argument that Uber was an employer because it exerted control by operating a rating system for drivers was false, she said, because that was simply Uber's protection against brand damage from drivers who might have a poor rating. The idea that a driver could be logged into multiple apps at once, searching for jobs in the middle of the night when there were few customers, and then claim the minimum wage from all of them would be an absurd consequence of the tribunal, she said. Regarding regulation, she said drivers are prohibited from plying for hire or picking up customers from taxi ranks, and that any private car hire driver who wants to work in London has to do it through the agency of a minicab company. That Uber was disruptive of traditional business, such as black cabs, was politically controversial, but also irrelevant to the case, she argued. The two drivers in the case, James Farrar and Yasin Islam, were at the appeal hearing on Wednesday. Tomorrow their lawyers will respond to the arguments as the appeal concludes. If Uber fails in the appeal, it could in theory go to a higher court, meaning the battle could stretch over months or years. The case could have huge ramifications for both Uber's the other 40,000 drivers and other workers in the gig economy. This is because contractors are not entitled to basic benefits such as sick pay or a pension, unlike workers. As a result, engaging people on a self-employed basis can be a flexible and cost-effective way of doing business. Uber has also consistently argued that the vast majority of its drivers are happy with this arrangement and value the flexibility that comes with it highly. But as scrutiny of the gig economy has increased, MPs have slammed companies including Uber and Deliveroo, accusing them of free riding on the welfare state by leaving taxpayers to pick up the tab for benefits including a state pension and sick pay. The appeal comes as Uber finds itself under intense scrutiny. In a surprise announcement last week, Transport for London said it would not renew Uber's license to operate over concerns the firm had not met rigorous regulations designed to ensure passenger safety. It said it was concerned by Uber's approach to a number of issues, including its reporting of serious criminal offenses. Speaking to BuzzFeed News outside the appeal hearing, James Farrar told BuzzFeed News, "As a gig worker I drank the Kool-Aid, but began to realize very quickly the money wasn't there. But what really tipped me over the edge is that when I was assaulted by a passenger and police wanted the name, Uber wouldn't give it to me and wouldn't give it to the police for 10 weeks. They dragged their heels and tried to avoid it," he claimed. "And that got me really starting to look at the contracts of that claim," an Uber spokesperson told BuzzFeed News. Initially he emailed the US team, so it got a bit lost in the system. "As soon as we got it, we took the appropriate action. We have since updated our processes." Jason Moyer-Lee, head of the union IWGB, which is representing the claimants in the appeal, told BuzzFeed News that Uber's position that it was an agent was a very ridiculous argument. "They've got a good lawyer and finessed it, but if Uber is able to get away with this, then every sort of customer-facing, low-wage employer could try and adopt something similar. These type of models will spread if we don't nip it in the bud. Got a confidential tip submitted here.